Hey everyone, and welcome to our CEDIA On Location Special 2016. Jason Griffin here. So happy to have you with us, joined, of course, by my partner, Seth Johnson. And this is a rare treat. I'm looking actually across the room at Seth in person. It's fun to record a show with you.
Kind of creepy, Jason.
Yeah. So we've got a couple of cold beverages here, and we're just going to keep this loose. This is going to be, this is our, like I said, our On Location Special. We're here in Dallas recording this in a hotel room, and it's been a busy show. Seth, give me your general thoughts so far. Like, what do you think, just in general, about the show?
Well, I've had this conversation with a number of people. I think I've had with you like the first night. Like, it's not a very like there wasn't a show stopping.
Yeah,
it was definitely one of those like there's a clear progression of what people are trying to do with their products, and we're seeing it play out in a number of different places, and we talked about a lot of what those were last week. But a good show overall. Like, there's definitely some interesting like little project parts out there. You know, I saw one guy way over in the corner, and he's like doing some really specialized things with like CAD drawings. You know, he's like putting these blocks in a database for you. So whenever you make a block for a piece of equipment, it always gets stored in a database, and you can reuse it. And like,
interesting.
It's awesome. Like, yeah, we're still having that kind of like software type things done.
That's been one of the things I've seen so much of this year is like, it really is a year. We talked about it coming into the show, using the term RSM, remote systems management, to describe companies like IHG and Krika. But what I'm realizing is
and
that
the 9 other ones we saw.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. But what I've realized now since I got here is like, I think we were right about that. But I think I almost want to take it one step further and say that this is like the year of like the software company, like the services company. Like, there's a lot of companies here that are just showing like software solutions and services targeted at the home technology professional. Like Portal, formerly SupplyStream, comes to mind. They've got a huge booth. They've been very busy. I've seen a lot of people coming in and out of there. And so,
yeah, that's the one that does like your proposal data, like gets your pictures and everything lined up.
So Portal they do have a proposal tool, my understanding, and I have yet to really stop by and do a deep dive. So we should mention we're recording this right now on Friday night. So we got one more day to be out there on the floor. And
one more party, one more day.
And I do intend to go stop by Portal. It seems to be an interesting concept. But the main idea behind Portal is really, I think it's more of like a streamlining your purchasing. So they've got a lot of vendor relationships where they're kind of giving you the single portal. That's the whole thing. And they recently rebranded. So they were SupplyStream up until just about a couple of weeks ago.
They still have the same orange pants. Like, so you see their booth.
The orange pants really work though.
Yeah.
You can't miss them.
You can't forget them. Right.
So anyways, yeah, that's been my general impression as well. I feel like, last night in particular, I had a few people asking me, what do you think of the show? What have you seen so far that you think is like the number one thing? I mean, this is a common question. It's just, this is the kind of small talk and chit chat that you have with friends around CEDIA. And I haven't had a good answer. Like, I haven't felt like I had seen that one thing that was like the showstopper. Like last year, to me, it was like the Savant remote. That was like, whether you felt really good about Savant's choice there or you were really questioning it, whatever it was, people were talking about it. It was kind of the center of attention. And I don't think this show has had that. I think if I had to pick one thing personally that I've seen, it's at the higher end, and it's JBL synthesis. So we do JBL synthesis in like a lot of our high end theaters, and they have an in-wall compression driver speaker that I don't want to get too geeky and spend a bunch of time talking about that technology, but compression drivers are very specialized, very high performance, really tight dispersion, great speakers, generally speaking, for a theater environment.
It's pretty much JBL uses on all of their drivers, right?
So traditionally what's been different is that compression drivers are require a lot of depth. They have to be a very deep speaker.
So it's like a horn. If you've ever seen one, it looks like a giant, It has the speaker at the bottom and then a flare out from there. And so
exactly.
Like
and so what JBL's done that's different, they've got, I think they said 4 patents on it, is like they're the first and the only company right now to have an in-wall compression driver. So it fits inside of a standard stud bay, and a really impressive sounding speaker, and very much at the high end of the market. Not a product that, you're going to see a lot of interest from at the low end. They're, I think, about $3,000 a piece for the speaker, and that doesn't include, of course, any amplification that you need to drive that and the processors and whatnot. So that can get very expensive in a hurry. But to me, that was one pretty critical piece. And that's something that could really have an impact on our business. They were actually showing that. They had it here last year. In full disclosure, it's not a new product this year. But they're at that point now, I think, where they're starting to ship it or very close. And so to me, that was kind of the one thing I've seen so far that I felt like this could be a game changer.
It's great for like the 1% of the population.
For my business. Yeah. But for my business, that's a big deal. We do high end stuff.
Yeah.
And so to be able to offer that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. I'm going to have to agree. There's not like one thing that stands out. There's a bunch of small things that are just like incremental steps along the way. And, Control4 had a pretty good keynote. From what I heard, and I happened to jump on a plane at 5:00. The keynote was at 5:30. I got to 30,000 feet, whipped open the laptop, got on the United Wi-Fi, and they block YouTube, so I didn't get to see any of it. So I had to like sit there and listen to a live stream of it. Yeah, bummed out totally. But they had a decent amount of announcements, and it like. Any other year, I think these would have made a lot bigger headlines. So their keynote one, the one more thing, as people like to say,
the one more thing
was and I'm gonna lead with that because I think it's like the least interesting of them, and just because like there was so much hype around Amazon products, but it was their Amazon Alexa integration.
Yeah,
and that it's huge for Control4. They've done a really good job from what I can tell. They have a system set up where you have to have Foresight, which is their online service.
Yeah.
You pay yearly for it, and you can remotely access your system. You go to your Amazon Alexa app, add in the Control4 skill, go to there's a little like pairing that you have to do between the Control4 website and the Amazon app, and bing, bang, boom, it's done. Now, did I mention anywhere in there that the integrator has to be brought out for it?
Right. Good point.
They don't have to be. Yeah, this is all like the customer can buy the actually $50 Amazon Dot just for Jason Griffin.
Back.
Yeah. You're going to pick them up. Pick up one. You may as well pick up two, right?
Yeah. There was some speculation about that product going away, and that was misreported, and it was just a rumor. But yeah, I was glad to see that. I think that's a cool product.
Yeah. So $50, set it in with your system in the room. And now you have voice control for your Control4 system. It basically sucks all the data out of the project, and you can say Control4 turn on the kitchen lights, and it will do. Or Alexa actually turn on the kitchen lights, and boom, you're done.
Yeah.
There's no like complicated things. If you don't like how the dealer names something, sometimes we do like kitchen under cabinets or whatever. The customer can actually go and rename those.
Oh wow,
on the customer.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's a very, very good. A very solid integration, and I honestly can't wait to do it myself. And I'm excited about it. I don't know how much we want to go into like individual the themes that we were talking about, but I thought about this. I spent a lot of time talking to the Josh AI guys today.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Yeah. So what did you see there?
A very cool product. Just like a little side tangent. We're going to go back and talk to them, you and I both again tomorrow. But it's been hyped as like this voice control product, right? And anybody out there talking to Josh AI has been reporting it as a voice control product. It's a complete.
Well, and I think that's been a direct result of them. That's how it's been marketed.
Yeah. It's way more than that. It's a full home automation system. It runs on a Mac Mini. It has a voice control feature, and that's one of their headlining features because they're putting like brains into it. It's not like a couple of weeks back, I was like, Amazon Alexa feels like a command prompt, like you're typing into a command prompt. You got to type exactly copy space, the file name you want to copy to.
It's got to be very, very rigid.
Yeah. If you mess it up, it's not going to work. And what they're trying to do is like, okay, you called it this, and maybe you meant that. So I'm going to, execute based on that. Or they do a pretty good job of like chaining events together, like turn on the kitchen lights and the bathroom lights and this lights, So it's really a compelling story what they're trying to do. I'm very excited to see where that product goes because it's way more than what I thought it was. It integrates with Lutron. They have a Crestron integration now because they're going to be playing into that market.
And you feel like the price point, because that's always been the conversation about Josh. And I know Alex.
Well, what do we hear? Like 14,000?
Yeah. And we know Alex, the founder, is a fan of the show and a listener. And,
hey, Alex.
and we love that. And I think that, I think I've been pretty consistent in terms of saying that I think a voice control solution targeted at the CEDIA space is something that we need,
right,
and is something that could present some real value. I have had my questions about the price point, but you made an interesting comment to me on the shuttle ride back here to the hotel about the price point.
Yeah, he
the
has
feedback they were getting. So elaborate on that.
He's gotten some feedback at the show that the price point's too low for some of the clients that product would work for. So like some of the dealers have come in, they're like, I manage billionaires and all my clients are billionaires. This product point, the price point of this product's too low for what it does. And I mean, it is a complete home automation system. Let's not like, it doesn't have to sit on top of a Crestron. It doesn't have to sit on top of...
It could take the place of that.
Yeah, it definitely could. I mean, not as feature full, like, because it doesn't have 30 years worth of, home automation background and product development. But I mean, heck, they've got a Haiku driver. They've got all the products that are going to Lutron driver. They've got the products that are going into these high-end homes, and they're doing a good job of it. I mean, from what I saw, the interface looks good. It's a real compelling product. It's a real exciting product. So,
yeah.
But what I was thinking about in relation to like the overall picture of what our systems look like now, as I was talking to those guys, I'm sitting there thinking like, we put in these complicated homes, like these magic touch screens on the walls or in the kitchen. And that's like the hub of the house. Like you would go there.
The command station.
You would go there, right? You would go there, and that's how you would run your house and manage your house in these bigger homes. And I'm sitting here talking to him and thinking like, wait, that's gone. Why do that interface anymore? That interface is completely replaced by voice now.
Yeah.
And that's going to be...
It could be. Not now, but I think it's...
I don't know. I mean, with the Control4 system, I have an Amazon Echo in the house. It sits next to my coffee maker, and I'm going to yell at it in the morning, Amazon, turn on the kitchen under counter lights, and it's going to do it.
I think it definitely has the potential to be completely replaced. I think that we've got a ways to go. I've turned the corner on voice control. I think it's a lot closer to being a reality now, meaning not like a fringe technology, but like actually something that's usable for everyday Joe. I think it's going to be a while before that replaces like
the big command center touchscreen. And I don't know if it's going to replace the app, but I mean, it'll definitely replace that giant touchscreen we put in the kitchen.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Yeah. So if you're talking about, having that in-wall stationary, big ugly touch panel in a beautiful home that doesn't, it's like kind of wall acne. I mean, we've kind of moved away from recommending that. We don't really do much in-wall anymore unless clients specifically want it, in which case we're typically doing like a launch port. Which is sort of an in-wall device, but not really. It's a nice, like, kind of hybrid. But anyways, back to your point, I think that voice control is very interesting. This is definitely a year, like, you do see it a lot on the floor. It has a very large presence. The Amazon Alexa's booth, right kind of smack in the middle of the show floor, has been packed.
The fart chamber.
The whole
Oh, I'm sorry, the echo chamber.
The echo chamber. So we've been jokingly calling it the fart chamber. It's
you walk past this thing on the show floor. I've got a picture of it. I'll put it up in the show notes. And it is what are they packing? The fire marshal can't be involved because they're packing like in this glass
every
booth.
Time. Yeah.
There's 4 corners to it with each one of their integrations inside of it. And there's a salesperson in there showing off the integration with whatever product they're talking about.
Yep.
And you walk by and it's like a glass room packed full of dealers. And I know it can't smell very good in there.
No, there's no way. But it's been a line, like literally around the booth. There's been a line to get in there. And I have to admit, I haven't gone in there. I think tomorrow, being Saturday, it'll be a little bit more quiet on the floor.
Bring some Febreze.
Yeah. It'll be nice and ripe in there. But anyways, I do want to go check it out. I want to see what the demo is they're doing. I think that it wasn't going out on a limb to predict coming into the show that voice control was going to be big this year. And I think that that's definitely been an interesting one to watch. But let's move on from that. We want to cover a little bit of ground here, and I'll take this opportunity quickly to mention to our listeners that next week's episode we're going to have much more CEDIA coverage too. Seth and I have been, running around the show floor, and we've been gathering a lot of sound bites, doing quick interviews with people on the show floor, and we're really going to do a deep dive next week and get into super specifics about what a lot of people were showing. We wanted to take this opportunity right now to do an on-location special and just kind of give an update of what we're thinking on the show. And so, voice control is big, but speaking of, you mentioned Josh AI, they're back on Innovation Alley and I've spent a fair amount of time back there. I want to spend a little more time there tomorrow. But what do you think on Innovation Alley? I mean, what have you seen back there?
Lots of cool stuff. Let me loop back real quick to that Control4 thing, because we only hit the Amazon thing and then we went.
Yeah.
I said that's like their least interesting announcement.
You did say that.
They also announced the Sonos driver that we've been debating. Like, what's going on with that? It will be a separate driver.
Okay.
It will be basically just favorites, which is lame. And
which is exactly what Savant is doing.
Everyone's doing it, because
so I do think Savant had early access to the API. Remember we speculated on that?
I don't know, but
I don't know. Anyways,
they may have had some kind of direction and talking with them about how to do it. But I think, I mean, if you look at Sonos' competitors, Hios and Nuvo, they offer products very similar with the same setup that have direct integration with Control4. They have full APIs, open APIs, and they have product that rack mounts, that is multiple zones in a single gang rack. I mean, they do all the stuff that Sonos isn't doing today. And I'm really hoping that Sonos actually opens up and actually does a real API for everybody else, because the favorites thing is kind of lame. Honestly, it's lame. So
yeah, it's limited. It's limited. But Sonos has said that this is just the beginning.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I didn't even go to the Sonos booth 2 days in a row.
Really? I stopped by there today.
Didn't even want to walk by it.
Yeah.
So.
I stopped by there today, and probably a good time to mention that they actually were not showing their Echo integration. So people might be wondering about that, because that was pretty big news. Sonos just announced that recently, and I talked to the guy about it, asked him specifically, and he said, this is just something we're just in the early phases of, and so they don't have that here. They're not showing it. Not a huge surprise, but I think worth mentioning, because that was pretty big news. And so it was one thing I asked them about when I went there.
I saw an article on CE Pro, and we'll try to link to it. It just came out, and it's an interview with one of the guys at the Sonos booth, and they're working with Amazon on making that voice control. Because Amazon and Sonos are going to do something different here. You're going to yell at Amazon to play something, and it's going to come out of your Sonos speakers, which is way different than what it does now. It comes out of the little crappy tube that Amazon offers as a speaker. So much better integration, if you ask me, than what they're doing now. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about that. But again, it'll be next year before that rolls out from both parties. Like, Amazon's got to introduce that. Sonos is going to take advantage of it. And I'm sure other vendors will too. It's not going to be just a Sonos exclusive.
Yeah.
And one more thing, Control4, let's just jump back to them, because they seem like they were the only ones like really pushing these major announcements out. This is huge for them, and I think it just kind of got buried under the headlines. Control4 is supporting Z-Wave now.
That is a big deal.
Huge deal.
Yeah.
It's 13 products right now, but they've got to start somewhere.
How are they doing that? Is it like a separate bridge or something you have to buy?
It's with the new EA processors, and there's a little like dongle you plug into the USB port on the back.
Got it.
And so it's not built into the controller altogether, but I can't tell you how many homes I go into that have, they want a QuickSet lock, which, by the way, some of the best looking locks I saw today were QuickSet, because they have this awesome like retro piece that I can use on my house, on my front door now. No keypad. I can use the deadbolt that I have, pull the back little flip switch off, put the battery pack on, and it works.
Yeah.
It works with QuickSet and Slate. It's universal, almost universal. So that can be installed in a house under Z-Wave, pop it in Control4, and potentially it could be used if the driver is there to support it.
Right.
But that opens Control4 up from like 50% of the market. Well, I'd say 20% of the market to like the rest of the market too.
Yeah.
Potentially they could be there one day. And I think that's probably one of the most like missed part of this show, right? Like, cause
that's a big deal.
It's
and I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it, but I didn't read too much into that, because like we do a little bit with Control4.
What dealer sells Z-Wave? That's where I'm going with this. Like, that's going to come in from somewhere else.
Well, Z-Wave is very much a DIY technology traditionally. And so I know I spent a little bit of time at the Z-Wave booth today, and I got to say that the general impression I came away from just the overall Z-Wave booth, I felt like, in a way, it was like a microcosm of what the average consumer is going through when they look at the smart home today. And what I mean is, like, it was overwhelming.
Right.
It was a lot of like these smaller companies that are doing, innovative things, and I get what they're after, but I don't envy them, because they're just, it's going to be so hard for these companies to kind of break through the noise.
Yep.
And it's like everybody's got their own little twist on what the smart home is, but you know, I can only look at so many like smart plugs and
Right.
you know, smart locks before I'm just like, I just get lost in it. But yeah, Z-Wave and Control 4, I mean, that's definitely an interesting story. I think speaking of the Z-Wave booth, spent some time with the guys at Neo.
Oh my
today,
God.
And I was really
awesome.
happy to meet those guys. They're really great, super nice guys. Like we had never met them in person before. I hadn't. I don't think you have.
I haven't either, no.
I know they've been at CES and stuff, but we've never had the opportunity to meet those guys.
And hold the remote, right?
And hold the remote.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful remote. You know, we're going to have a soundbite next week. I got a soundbite with Raphael and I asked him about a ship date, and, you know, they're still not like committed to a date, but he says they're close. And, you know, he was really demonstrating some of the things about the touch screen and how fluid it is. I mean, it's a beautiful product. They did a very, very good job on the design. He mentioned something to me that I thought was interesting, is that right now their tests indicate that with average use, you could charge the remote once a month.
Right.
Their battery is going to hold a charge for a month, is what they're claiming.
I talked to him a little bit about how they're doing that. And basically they wrote their entire UI from scratch, which is in this day and age insane, because Apple gives you an entire interface for free. Android gives you an entire interface and operating system for free. And they've written everything from the ground up, turning on the little pieces of code that they need to run rather than all the, you know, GPS and all the other stuff on your phone that runs.
Right.
They were able to get that shaved down, and if it works a month without, I mean, that's amazing.
It's incredible
for that tiny. I mean, it's a really thin remote, really tiny.
Yeah, it's a beautiful remote, and so I was excited to see that. I think back on Innovation Alley, we saw some kind of interesting things. I forget. I want to say the company Axis, I believe, AXIS, was that the shade
that's
thing?
Probably like one of the coolest products I saw.
Yeah.
It was
I would give
a
it
treat.
the most clever.
Yeah.
Right. It's like this retrofit, I guess, solution is how you would describe it. And so any sort of manually operated shading system that you might have at your home that has a continual loop. So whether that's a pulse string or a chain or whatever it is, that loop can be fed through this little device that then, you know, you wall mount it to the inside of the window, and you've now automated those shades. And I thought it was just a very clever design. They did a good job. It's got a built-in battery
and tactile control.
And it's
Jason.
got physical control, which, you know me, I love that when she showed me that. And what I mean by that is you can actually walk up to the device and you can press on the bottom to close that shade, or you can press on the top to open it,
or anywhere in between.
Or anywhere in between. Yeah, you can set it to certain levels. Got a nice little like LED light in there that kind of tells you what level you're setting it to. Two different models. I want to say it was $199 for just the straight Bluetooth one, which would just be kind of a point-to-point connection from your phone. You could control it. They also have Z-Wave and Zigbee models. Nice. And they mentioned Control 4 specifically, an integration there. They mentioned smart things, and I think there was one more that I'm forgetting.
Yeah, Bluetooth, Zigbee, Z-Wave. They were going for them all. And right now it's a phone app, I think. I mean, they've got some time. I think it's one of those we're shipping Q1 next year type things. But
pretty clever product, though.
Very cool. Yeah. I think George, your boss, put it best. It's a better mousetrap. And it
build a better mousetrap.
Yeah, I told him I'm just selling manual shades from now on, and like I can automate these things for a few $100s more rather than paying for a $500 to $800 motor. So why bother with that?
Yep. A couple other companies we saw back there. 7 Hugs has a remote.
Awesome.
They're here showing on the show. That thing looks awesome.
Talk to Simon.
Yep. Simon was great. August Pro was back there. So those are, a couple of companies I think that fall into that conversation we've been having about kind of meeting in the middle and what these companies are doing to embrace the integrator and the home technology professional and figure out how our established channel can really be a valuable asset to them and not just like a pipe to move more boxes. Right.
Yeah,
so that's been interesting.
I talked to them a little bit. I've got to go back and try and get a soundbite from one of the guys there. But they basically admitted, like their product's a little tough to install for the average DIY person, not like somebody that's techie or wants to deal with screws and that kind of thing. And locks are frustrating to install. But they were finding that they still want some professional to put it in, so they're not messing anything up. And they teamed up. They're selling through ADI now, so they teamed up with ADI. Which if you're a dealer, you know who that is.
Yep.
And they'll be selling the August Pro through that, and you can get in there, install it, set it up for your client. I think it's a great product and a great thing. One thing I saw back in Innovation Alley was a company called Parakeet.
I saw that.
Did you?
For renters. It was like for an apartment solution.
Well, it wasn't just for renters. Well, it was like for like vacation renters, and they had apartments. They were literature specific apartments, but they also could do like vacation rentals.
Yep.
So if you had a rental property, they have this complete system, and it's like really built around having multiple units and like door locks. Like they had water sensors. They had everything that you would imagine for a home automation system. And they also had what I thought was really funny, a party sensor. And it literally had like a little jumping up and down LED, depending on how loud it was. And it could
That's funny. I didn't catch that.
They could notify, like they have a real problem with rentals having parties and trashing the place.
Yeah.
And they just notify you like instantly.
That is funny.
Yeah. So
that is funny.
I thought it was pretty good. It would work well in the market that I'm in Sarasota.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and speaking of these companies that are kind of the meeting in the middle idea that we've been talking about, one product, I have to say that without having direct experience with it and the ability to really kick the tires on it and gauge the reliability, one product I've seen this year that was very compelling to me is the Ring Elite.
Oh my God, yes!
Like this is a really, I think, a breakthrough product in the sense of. Ring has really been a consumer company, straight up focused on the consumer. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like we've talked about that. But, my qualm with them has always been, I really am not a huge fan of sticking what is essentially a video streaming device on the outside of a house, outside of a brick wall, and then asking it to do Wi-Fi video streaming, which is basically you're just asking for a service call. And so this new Ring Elite is a product that they've come out with that they're aiming at the integrator, and it's got PoE. It's got Ethernet on it, so I can run a data cable to it, power it over Ethernet, not rely on Wi-Fi. It's a flush mount, fits in a single gang box. I thought it looked great, and it's really something that I want to bring in-house and test, and I want it so badly to work because it's finally a product that I feel like if it works as promised, I could finally have that tool, that solution to offer to clients, because that's a request that we get a lot. Like, hey, I want a video doorbell. And I don't know where you've sat on this in the past, but
well, video doorbells are
like I've had a good solution. I have not had a good solution.
Yeah. Video doorbells are hot right now. I think Ring is the one that's pushing the industry forward. I mean, you can't watch a football game without seeing 2 Ring commercials,
Mm-hmm.
like they're all over the place doing marketing, getting the information out there. It's an easy install, but we do want more. And I mean, the going PoE, going with an IP or something that can't be retrofitted is a departure for their company. But I got to say, the build quality, I mean, you touch that thing, it's metal casing around it. I've got a picture of it. We'll put it on the website too. It's already up there on CEDIA Day 1, but we'll put it up in the show notes too. Like it's a solid piece. It looks great. I'm going to go chip a hole in my front door just to put that in.
Yeah.
And
give
somehow,
it a try.
Somehow retrofit a Cat 5. I don't know how that's going to happen, but
you'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll get it done somehow. Otherwise I'll have a big hole. And
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I thought that looked like a great product. We've kind of touched on voice control here. We've touched on some of the DIY products. We'll get into more of those, in depth when we do our real deep dive next week. But let's move on to talk about maybe some of the slightly higher end stuff. 4K video, obviously a big thing here. I know today, Seth, I went and looked at the new DPI, the digital projection, $20,000 laser 4K projector. And $20,000 sounds like a lot of money, but for a 4K laser projector, that's a pretty low price point.
Yeah, I think the Sony is what, 60?
Yeah. And so that gives us finally, that entry level being a relative term, right? But there are clients that would spend $20,000 on a 4K that won't spend 40 or 60, right? Yep. And so to have that tool in our belt, I think is really valuable. And the DPI stuff was really compelling. We've, we're big Sony guys. I love the Sony TVs. I think they do fabulous.
The Sony TVs, the ones that, they had, first of all, they had a 100-inch TV for like, what, 60 grand?
60.
Again.
The Z series. Gorgeous.
Yeah. There's a 100-inch, a 75-inch, and like 50 or something.
Yep.
Every one of those TVs, I just drooling over.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. And I heard I have to go by the LG booth because they have the OLEDs there.
Yeah. I stopped by there today. I had a quick chat with them. So we'll have a soundbite we'll feature next week. We'll talk about them. And I had a conversation with them, and I asked them pointedly, I said, there doesn't seem to be any debate really about the fact that OLED is an amazing TV technology that produces a really beautiful TV. So given that, like, why are you guys really the only ones doing it? And he really just said it's come down to the fact that they just kind of were able to figure it out. And that manufacturing process is really difficult and very expensive. And that some of the things they figured out, they've been able to patent. And, who knows what kind of implications that's going to have for other companies. But in any event, LG is really the only company doing OLED.
Right.
I think there may be a couple Panasonic TVs, I feel like, or something. There's like one or two other companies I think that have done some things. I think Samsung tried and failed is what the guy was telling me at OLED or at LG. But they're beautiful TVs, but they're still relatively expensive.
Yeah, anything 4K and OLED is going to be expensive.
And I think that, quite honestly, the Z series is pretty comparable, because what the whole thing about the Z series is what they're calling, and hopefully I get this right, like the master backlight drive or something like that. It's all about the backlighting. And so what they've got is this very sophisticated technology that essentially allows them to get that backlighting down to effectively zero, to like mimic the black levels that you would get on an OLED,
right?
While still retaining the brightness that LED is good and known for.
Yeah, they're doing everything they can to improve the LED technology, and
so pretty compelling. And they had a demo showing a Z series and a standard back or whatever their other kind of standard backlighting versus this new master backlight drive side by side.
And you don't want that trash anymore. You're like, that was a beautiful TV 6 months ago, but throw that in the trash right now. Yeah, the funniest thing I saw at the Sony booth was their 4K Blu-ray player that doesn't ship until like Q2 of next year.
Yep.
Everybody was surrounding the thing, and on the wall they had like the 6 Blu-ray titles that are actually shipping in 4K.
6. Yeah, I think there's maybe like, I don't know, 20 or something, but it's a very small number. That's funny. Yeah, I just got to wonder how much R&D is really going into that, and how spirited that team has to be at this point with everything going to streaming. But that's...
Well, I mean, so future looking, and I know we're kind of running up on our time here, but I was looking, one of the things I noticed was insane this year is anybody who touches HDMI has an HDMI over IP solution this year.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Yeah,
it's that's
a big thing. I had a long conversation with PureLink over at the Savant booth. They're a new Savant partner. And what they're doing right now with Savant is not over IP, but the guy Howard, who I spoke with, very passionate, very knowledgeable about this stuff. And he's a big believer long term. He seemed to think it was a little ways out in terms of there were some technical challenges. He felt like, I don't know. It was weird because the HDMI is one of those things. You talk to one person and they're like, nobody's doing this. And then you talk to another person and they're like, no, everybody's doing that. So it's kind of like one of these weird gray areas. But yeah, video over IP, I think, I don't want to say unanimously, but I think most people that are in the know and that follow this stuff would agree with you, Seth, that like that is ultimately the future. It's just kind of a question.
No. I'm backing off of that, and I say
are
that.
You? Okay.
Yeah. I say that working for a company that like our main product line is just add power. We sell that into a ton of like high end homes and sports bars, and I mean massive sports bars with I think our larger installs is hundreds of TVs with hundreds of inputs. So like. I'm saying long term. I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm going long term. Looking down the road, where are our sources coming from? They're coming from streaming sources. We're going to build. We're going to build the Comcast app. Comcast is showing an X1 box with IP control. Who cares?
Yeah,
because the Comcast app needs to live on my new Samsung 4K TV and give me 4K
I get what you're
content.
saying. Yeah,
and then what happens to video distribution? So I'm throwing that out there right now as like a future looking thing. Dealers need to be looking at that because I'm seeing like a very complicated market coming forward, and like everybody's doing everything little thing just a tiny bit different, so they don't all work together.
Right,
and that's a disaster moving forward. I really think that your 4K content isn't going to come from a Blu-ray player that Sony's not shipping till next year, but it's going to come from an app that you run on some device that's capable of 4K. I mean, listen,
I got you. Yeah, that makes sense.
The phone can do 4K, and they're building like faster computers that are in the phone into the TV now. So there's no reason it can't happen.
So I was kind of thinking when you said video over IP, I was thinking of it more like it's coming over the network.
Yeah, I would say the next 5 years. Yeah. I would say video over IP is a solution, but dealers need to be
but
looking a little longer.
It's still a bridge, because what you're saying is like that whole idea of having external set-top boxes and stuff that you have to distribute.
Video distribution in general
is going to be an antiquated idea.
HD-based T, video over IP, HDMI switchers, forget them.
Not where you're putting your money.
Forget them. No, they're gone.
Because it's basically like the TV's going on the wall. It's either going on the Wi-Fi or you're hooking it up to the Ethernet. Yep. And the video, the content is just an app on your TV. It's not a centralized distribution model. I totally agree.
Yeah. It's a changing world. I mean, we're seeing it now. I mean, CEDIA is half full of DIY product, and dealers are, trying to figure out how they can make their business models work with these products.
Right.
Things are changing, and they're changing. Like, you look at the video distribution model and say, that's insane. I need to pay $15,000 for an HDMI switch?
Yeah.
$20,000 for an HDMI? No, why would anybody want to do that?
Yeah.
And the simple solution is put an app on the TV and you call it a day. And thinking about that says, oh no, there's all these challenges. Those challenges go away when you think about a $20,000 difference in your price tag.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's something we've got to start thinking about and planning for, because our product margins will disappear overnight if video distribution becomes, the thing of the past.
Yeah. Well, no, and I think that's probably a great place to kind of wrap this up. A little bit of a shorter.
On a bad note, no, this is a great show.
No. But what I'm saying, but hear me out. What I'm saying is that I feel like that's what this year's show is all about. We started the show talking about there wasn't really any showstoppers that we've seen so far. Nothing major that was grabbing everybody's attention. But everywhere you look, there's all these little incremental changes happening.
Yep.
Savant has a Nest integration. Somebody's doing Echo. All of these little things, right? And when you look at each one in isolation, it's like, okay, kind of cool, whatever, not that big of a deal. But when you start to look at the big picture and you zoom out in the aggregate, I think that's kind of what this year's show is about. It's about this incremental change. And we talk about the shifting industry a lot. And I think that's what's kind of makes it so difficult. And it's deceptively difficult, I think, for people to understand what kind of the transition that's happening in our industry, because it's not like all of a sudden overnight somebody's going to flip a switch and everybody in the world is going to be using HomeKit and we're going to be out of a job.
Chips at the armor.
That's not how it's going to work. It's just going to be this slow incremental change. And then before you know it, all of a sudden the whole thing is like shifted underneath your feet. And it's like, what am I doing? Right. And so to me, that's kind of been the theme that I've seen on this year's show is like, everywhere I look, I'm seeing incremental improvements and people are doing things a little bit better. And I would say that across the board, the high-end companies, the DIY companies, I feel like I've seen compelling stuff from everyone. I haven't seen that one thing that like knocked my socks off.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I guess with that, we're going to wrap it up. This has been a really good conversation. We probably need to continue this or just record like our conversations on the shuttle buses back and forth, because they're pretty good.
Yeah, we could definitely keep going. There's a ton of ground we could cover, but we wanted to kind of keep this concise and just give our quick update here live on location. Like I said, we don't want to, be too redundant, right? We're going to do a very deep dive next week, and I really look forward to doing that.
Yeah, definitely. Just want to throw a shout out to, we've had this week had a couple of patrons jump in and really want to say thank you to everybody who's joined the show. If you want to find out about how you can sponsor the show, check out HomeTech.fm /support. Yeah. And that's got a couple of different ways you can support the show. You can also support the show using HomeTech.fm /feedback. Send us some questions, comments, responses, anything you want to say on there. And of course, leave reviews for us on iTunes. That really helps other people find the show, kind of for some reason, boost the ranks and the algorithms on the app.
Seems to help.
Yeah, it does something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's black magic if you ask me. But
yeah,
we really appreciate everybody who does support the show, and for everybody who does listen to the show. Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely. I'll just echo what you said. I want to thank all of our patrons who have come on board. And if you're a fan of the show and you enjoy it, please consider doing that. We would really appreciate it. Seth, I've really enjoyed recording this quick on-location special with you. And I really do look forward to next week diving in. I hope everybody listening, I just want to remind you again, tune in. We're going to go really deep on CEDIA next week. We've got a ton of more stuff that we want to cover, including a lot of sound bites from the show and additional thoughts on even some of the stuff we've talked about here. So be sure to tune in for that. And we'll look forward to chatting with you next week.
Sounds good, man. Time to go party.
You got it. Take care.
See ya.